Welcome to All Devices Are Instruments, a series that I did because I wanted to show how our pedals, the controls on our guitar, and the amp all interact in a very expressive and animated way if we're willing to start thinking of everything in our signal chain as a potential instrument, not unlike modular synthesis, where changing one thing in the signal chain sort of has this cascading effect. I also want to encourage people to really play their sounds, not just like I switch on a pedal and now it's all fuzz and then I turn it off and now it's all clean. There's sort of a million gradations in between off and on that can be harnessed by your playing technique, by changing the settings on your guitar, by changing the knobs in your pedals in real time. So this is not a series for people who need to have things buttoned down and completely predictable. It's for people who want to create more animation and shifting vibrancy in their sound. I want to talk about one of my favorite sounds. It's kind of old school. We're going to remove the pedals from the equation for a minute and just talk about the sound of a reverb unit going into an amp. Now, classically, this would happen if you had, say, a Fender reverb tank that was plugged into an amp that didn't have reverb. So you're actually hitting the reverb first, and then that signal is being sent into the amp. And there's a cool thing that happens where if you hit the reverb first and the amp is sort of working a little hard, it's turned up and starting to saturate, it creates this really interesting kind of explosive sound that you can control just with your playing dynamics. I'm doing the same thing with my Benson Dizzy Bird. It creates a similar sound. So I'm just going to play and show you. It's a sort of opportunity to create these big musical statements just with your touch, with your playing. It's really fun. So you'll notice when I play lightly, there's plenty of reverb. There's a high amount of reverb, but when I dig in and it starts to distort, it sort of blooms and explodes in a really interesting way. So check it out. Really cool. You may have heard similar effects on old records, but I think it's fundamentally different from the sound of the reverb on most amps that have a built-in reverb. On the Dizzy Bird, I have the dwell control turned up quite loud, which actually controls the amount of signal that's feeding the reverb. And I think that's part of the equation of having an outboard reverb unit, is that you're feeding the spring a lot of signal so that when you play hard, it really activates it and causes a lot of sustain to happen. But it's really fun, really expressive, and I don't know, it's the kind of thing that I would, it's the kind of sound that I'd love to use if I'm playing kind of more earthy, simple guitar stuff. like roots music kind of stuff. It just creates a really fun, dirty kind of sound. So you can do something similar with a pedal. It's going to be a little different, but if you have a Spring Reverb type pedal, try running it in front of your amp, a little bit distorted, and turn it up and see if you can really control that dynamically. You have to get comfortable with being really dynamic with your picking hand and playing fairly precisely with your fretting hand, because you're going to hear all of the little squeaks and stuff from playing so lightly and having the amp turned up. But it's really fun. It's a really soulful kind of sound, I think. So enjoy it. Check it out. See if that inspires anything in you. If you have any questions or thoughts, concerns, feedback, feel free to comment below. You can email me at hello@danphelps.com. Find me on Instagram at danpmusic. Please subscribe to my channel so that you continue to see these videos. And yeah, it's been a pleasure to create this series. And I'll just play us out with a little bit more of this verbed out tone.